You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
You're telling me that what you're going to do is going to open the door for incredible government overreach. Okay, so look, we're going to probably cover most of this story before we go to our Rumble Premium segment today. But we'll cover all of it and get it out for you guys because we think it's a really, really big story right now. And it's one that actually made me do something that I typically don't, which is start diving into conspiracy theories a little bit, going like, hold on, wait a minute, this guy said something. And I try not to do that. And no, I'm not pulling a Candace Owens. I won't do that. But there are bees in this story at some point, I think. So a new poll is actually showing that Keir Starmer is Britain's least popular prime minister ever. His net approval is negative 66. That means he's 66 points underwater on favorable, not favorable. That is really impressive. By the way, pull that graph back up. Like, they really hate their politicians there. The gap is gigantic on so many of them, especially look since 2019. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the prime ministers that they have been negative 44 or more.
This is how you get a king back.
Well, they already have the king.
Yeah, but not back in power, I mean.
That's been a long time. I don't know what you're talking about. The prime minister is beloved by all of the people. But this weekend, we're talking a whole lot about Britain today, but this weekend, in a bid to really improve his ratings, and let me just kind of set you up. One of the biggest knocks on Starmer right now is that he's been weak on immigration. It's the illegal immigrants that are coming over. It's a lot of the boats that are coming over. It's the migrants that are there illegally in hotels being taken care of. It's pissing a lot of people off. It's covering up a lot of the rape crimes and all the other stuff, the knife crimes that are going on, and really basically pushing traditional Britons out of the equation by just importing more and more people. So to help himself out a little bit, he announced digital IDs would be mandatory for all UK adults.
We start here in the UK on an issue that's divided the country over the last few decades. Every adult will need a new government-issued digital ID to prove they live and can work here. Well, under plans to be announced by the Prime Minister on Friday, the move is part of efforts to crack down on illegal working. Most European countries already require their citizens to hold ID cards.
So a little bit of that sounds reasonable. You're like, oh, like an ID card, like a driver's license or something like that as an identification. Nope, it's not quite what you think. And all of this is being put into place because of Starmer's inability to get illegal immigration under control. And so he's saying, hey, look, we'll remove one of the draws for people coming here by having these new digital IDs, and that'll help us crack down on illegal working.
For too many years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy and remain here illegally. Because, frankly, we've been squeamish. I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament.
That's
a scary. Spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them.
Okay, so let me get this straight, Keir. Countries throughout all of human history have had borders to some degree and have been able to defend said borders from people who want to come into said country illegally without digital anything. They had swords and they defended it. You're telling me that the only way that you can make sure that you defend the UK and its ability to keep people out from entering the country illegally is to have a digital ID? Okay. Let me just say that I took you at your word, which I don't. You're a politician. You're obviously getting creamed right now, and this is one of the biggest issues that you're losing on. But you're telling me that what you're going to do is going to open the door for incredible government overreach. You're saying you have to have this digital ID to even have a job in the UK. Do you remember during COVID in the United States, we had vaccine passports? Well, I believe over there, they had no jab, no job program. This was the big campaign. If you don't get the jab, you can't have a job. It's not like the United States was the only country doing stupid stuff like that during COVID in places like New York. They were doing it as well. And according to Gov UK, the IDs will be used for everything from renting, receiving benefits, voting, and even potentially banking. How long until those uses become mandatory? And just for everybody who's out there right now going like, there's probably multiple groups, but let's just break it down into two groups. So one group of people, and I don't know how sizable it is going, yep, I knew that they were going to do something like this. This makes perfect sense. And the other group is like, hold on, isn't it like reasonable for the government to have some control? Listen, here's why we don't go down this road, not even 1 inch. September 1st, Vietnam froze 86 million bank accounts that failed to comply with the new biometric rule. 86 million accounts were frozen because they failed to comply with new biometric rules. And listen, I'm a little shocked by these numbers, but Britain's, you would think, would come out and just completely be against this, right? You would think it'd be as underwater as Keir Starmer's approval rating. Well, they're importing a lot of people that are just like, whatever, go along with it. They have no idea, no concept of what freedom really is. In the latest, I believe, YouGov poll, 42% of Britons support this digital ID. 45% opposed and 14% are unsure, which is scary as well. You need to have an opinion on this. There's a very good reason for you to be a little bit wary about what's going on. And Larry Ellison is one of those reasons. Now, this is where I start to get a little like conspiracy theory laden, okay? And I'll get to that at the end here, but everybody knows Larry Ellison is the Oracle founder. And he's been a big supporter of the ID push. But the ID push actually first happened under Tony Blair. And I'll make those connections for you really quickly. Tony Blair's institute, the TBI, has lobbied the Labour government for digital ID. And since 2021, Larry Ellison has funded or pledged at least $350 million to TBI. Former Blair advisor Peter Kyle is Keir Starmer's Secretary of State for Business and Trade. And Ellison now has that direct line that he's always wanted to the UK government. And Oracle and Ellison Institute of Technology, the employees have met with the Labour government 29 times over the past 9 months. And just in case that you don't really know who Larry Ellison is or kind of what his politics are, just listen to what he has to say about surveillance.
Your body cams will be transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior.
Why?
Because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
Okay. So Larry Ellison is giving me a little bit more information here. Constantly recording everything that is going on. Listen, I'm not big on saying like the boogeyman is behind every corner, but sometimes people are inadvertently and on purpose the boogeyman. And I'm not sure which one Larry Ellison is. I'm leaning very heavily into the on purpose. If he's not, he's doing a really good job of wearing the team jersey and making me a little afraid of what's going on.
Yeah, the boogeyman's not behind every corner. He is under the bed.
Well, don't do that. There's kids that watch this show. I'm not
They
sure
shouldn't.
why, but they do. Yeah.
Kids should not be watching the show.
That's true. So on Friday, let's bring this kind of to the United States. President Trump signed an executive order laying out the plan for TikTok to come under American control.
With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
Whoops.
Wrong button.
No, it doesn't work. Sorry about that. I do apologize. So this is the TikTok issue that we have dealt with for a very long time. And a number of people have thought, okay, well, if we can just get under government, out of the government control of China, which we've detailed to you why TikTok is bad and why that you should not be using it in the United States and why we just needed to ban this app in the first place. President Trump went really hard on TikTok and then said, well, maybe there's a way we can get some kind of a new owner in. And I think he tried to do that the first time around, getting somebody to buy the company and really control the algorithm. There's a lot of perils with that. I'm not going to get into all the details, but the likely new owners, Silver Lake Management, Abu Dhabi-based MGX, and you guessed it, Oracle, owned by Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison, the second richest person in the world right now. What does Larry Ellison do? What is his business? What is Oracle's business? And what is the goal? I think, in fact, I don't know if we cut this or not, but there was a clip on Larry Ellison's kind of plan for getting all of data all of these different sources of data in one place so that AI could do a better job of evaluating that data and using it. And he was lamenting, in fact, that that was not available. Or maybe I was reading this beforehand. Maybe there wasn't a clip. But he's basically saying, I want to get all of our data in one place so that we can effectively mine that data. And so essentially that's what he's looking for. He's trying to take this data issue where things are segmented out in different places and be able to aggregate that into one place so that AI can be able to use it. Guess what AI needs? Everything he's selling. He is part of that process to make sure that AI can do the job that it needs to do. He's a part of that infrastructure. It's not on the chip side, manufacturing, NVIDIA, all that stuff. But Oracle plays a massive, massive role. That's why when they got this giant cloud deal, I can't remember who the company was or if it was with a government organization, their stock went up like 30% or 20-something% in one day, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Crazy, crazy moves happening right now. And by the way, Britons and now obviously probably Americans, if the TikTok deal actually does go through, are actually one step closer to their own wonderful form of a minority report. And it looks like they've been really prepping it for a long time.
And now the idea has been revived under this Labour government. Ministers have been looking at a digital ID scheme in Estonia in Eastern Europe, which is used to access public services. And they believe that attitudes towards ID cards have softened as concerns about illegal immigration have risen.
Bingo. Here's my rabbit hole. Just go with me for just a second on this. For a long time, we've been wondering, why would these countries allow themselves to be overrun by immigrants who don't share their values at all? It's not about brown, black, Asian, white. That's not the issue at all. The issue is culture. It always has been, right? The problem in these countries is that they're being overrun with populations of people that absolutely have nothing in common with their society.
They're opposites, actually.
Right? You start putting in these very godless societies, and I understand the qualms with Europe, but at least it has a very Catholic backbone to it, a very Christian backbone. These Asian countries, India, Pakistan, African countries to some degree, they don't really have that same Christian backbone historically. There is some, obviously, in Northern Africa, and I understand where Christianity started. Don't go down that rabbit trail with me. Just follow what I'm saying. They don't really map onto our form of civilization very well with these shared ideals and morals. Some better than others, but these groups in particular, the ones from countries that are highly Islamic and the ones that come from countries like India and Pakistan, they don't really map on very well. Why would they open their doors? For decades, like you could look around and see decimating these places and then have a system set up where if they can just get to one point of entry across all of these different countries, they can go anywhere within the European Union. And we're scratching our heads going, what are we doing? And then after books have been written on this, after arguments have been had, after data has been analyzed and people have said we are fed up with this and these movements start happening all across Europe, the United States starts doing the exact same thing with its southern border. Why in the world would they do that? Now listen, I'm not saying this is, but I'm saying an answer that I just heard that reporter give towards the very end was they're so fed up with illegal immigration, their attitude towards the digital ID has softened. That's scary because I don't know other than stealing an election, but I don't think it's as simple as that here in the United States. I don't think it's quite as easy. I think it's very, very plausible, if not necessarily likely, but plausible that you allow a problem so that you can present the solution. And digital ID for them might be that solution. Getting all of that information in one place. And this is something that you have to fight. Britons, Americans, everybody. I didn't realize that several countries in Europe already have this. I believe Germany put this in place and it didn't do anything to help their immigration problem. I think Nigel Farage was talking about that. By the way, he's up on Starmer right now, pretty big. I think he's got like a 6-point lead in the latest polls because he's much tougher on immigration. Even though Nigel wasn't as tough as he needed to be, he took a harder line stance and now is doing very well. And it matters because I don't want this stuff coming to us. We don't want digital ID. You want to do a deep dive on it? Look at what's going on in China. I know that's a much more difficult situation to kind of parse out, but if you want to travel, if you want to have a bank account, you want to avoid public shaming, you want to avoid having all of your data in one place for the government AI to be able to use and then COVID happens, You don't get work. You don't have the jab. Completely shut out. You don't get to travel. You don't get to access your bank account. You don't get to rent. You don't get any public services at all. It really is a dystopian type of future if we let this go that direction. So everybody in Britain needs to come. I mean, I thought he had picked every bad policy you could pick to get people to protest and put up the flag everywhere around the country. But I guess he found a new one that he thought was going to get people behind him. And hopefully it results in the end of his administration and Britain finally going back towards its roots a little bit more. But Josh, you actually had a question you wanted to ask before we go.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next topic.
I'm curious about this, and you know a lot about the topic.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering my question. How is this digital ID requirement to work? How is that different from a social security number here in the States?
So the reason it's different, and having an ID to prove you're a citizen, I don't really have much of a problem with that. Now, I know there's some people that will still have a problem with that. I don't. I understand that you have to be able to identify citizens like with a driver's license or some kind of government-issued ID.
We should have one to vote.
Who you are.
Maybe that's
right.
part of the...
Yeah, but apparently that's racist.
But if you want to vote, you got to have one.
Right. Can't say that because it's racist, apparently. I think it's different because this is a digital system where all of this information is going to be stored kind of in one place.
And are they taking biometrics from it?
Well,
is that part of it too? Because that'd be something that would definitely fight against. Disagree
right now, the TSA stuff that they're doing is taking biometric information from people in the United States. When they did the news report, they were
can say no,
harkening back to you can say no. They harken back to a report from I think 2005 or 2010. There was another time that they tried to start implementing this, and it was all biometric data as well. Basically, had to look into the cameras at that time. They were a little bit bigger. Technology is advanced, but it's putting all of this stuff in one digital space that the government now has access and control over.
It can do whatever
that
they
is
want
the
with.
problem. Well, theoretically, there may be safeguards in place.
And hopefully they have the best intentions, in heart.
Yeah.
But no one ever does.
I just don't think it's a good idea.
Government never does.
No,
that's
the
what I
government
mean.
absolutely
That's what I mean.
never does.
No one in any government ever has only the best intentions.
Right.
There's always some kind of other intention. Like, are they going to sell this information?
Well, so
are they going to use it to find people? Are they going to use it to persecute people? They're already finding people for memes.
Say it this way: control. Using it to control people. That is what this is about. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the nefarious plot on this side. I'm not saying this is ultimately the nefarious plot. I'm saying in general, what the nefarious plot is with your information is to control you. Now, there are a lot of ways to do that are very overt, like they do in China and other places, freezing bank accounts in Vietnam. That's overt control. You have to do what we say, otherwise you can't do X, Y, Z, right? But there's also covert control where they manipulate you and feed you information and stories and based on all of your data to make you believe something is true and to kind of force you into doing it. It's like the inception issue where you basically think it's your own idea essentially to behave this way or to react this way to something. And that is just as nefarious in my mind. I don't want the government having all of our data. Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter to save free speech. Maybe that was a part of it. Elon Musk doesn't understand free speech. So that's why I can say that with some clarity. Maybe he liked the idea of political discourse, but he really doesn't understand free speech. And he's learned more and more over time what that really does look like, but not when he bought it.
X is definitely more free speech than it used to be, but
it's way more.
It's not
completely.
It's not what we as Americans would define as a free speech.
He bought
platform.
it for data.
Yeah.
This was not a play of I can turn Twitter around and make it something better. This was, I need data for my training, my AI training. I need to have as much data as possible to train these AI models.
But it was a good selling point, just like how Keri Starmer's using the selling point of even going to this press conference and doing one thing, which I kind of respect, but at the same time is it's kind of a tricky tactic where he said, we've been a bit squeamish. On this in the past. And it kind of, you go, okay, well, thanks for acknowledging that. But did you do this on purpose?
You're going down the wrong path.
Did you bring all these people, let these people come in, all, laissez-faire, just so you can convince the people who didn't want the mandatory ID that we now need the mandatory ID? Because they're like, oh, well, if you're finally going to attack this immigration problem, then I guess, sure, you can take all my biometrics and take my identification and take my information.
Just know everything about me. I don't like it. I don't think you guys should like it. Let me know in the chat. Let me know what you guys think about this. If this rabbit hole of mine.
Well, they've been talking how we're already implementing real ID here, which is kind of baby steps towards.
So I'm not as
What
up
we're talking
on
about?
what real ID is in the States. Like I got one of those notices that said you had to have real ID, but if your
Yeah,
card
exactly.
has this logo on it already, it is real ID.
You already
I'm not
have
sure
one.
how that's
Texas,
different. Yeah, they do.
Texas already has it.
I just
Texas
don't know how
license.
it's different from other licenses. I haven't done a lot of research on it, so I apologize.
Yeah,
but I heard
mean,
it being
I'm
talked about.
assuming they mean like it's stored more in a database and it could be linked to other things, but it isn't yet.
Yeah,
You need it to fly.
understand where
Yeah.
it comes
You
from.
cannot fly without a real ID.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that went into effect sometime this year, before summertime or around summer.
You might be able to have a passport might work instead of a real ID, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
a
understand.
passport does come with biometrics.
Yeah.
You needed a passport to get the new license here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
A significant form of identification.
Right.
Passport.
Not just
work.
a student ID that I made in my basement. No, can't do that. I understand wanting to have information available and having it across platforms. That idea makes sense. But the problem is what governments and nefarious actors could do with it. Governments aren't completely secure. Come on. Like we know motivated people can get access to information and systems they're not supposed to have access to. So why would we put everything in one place? It's like make them work for it. If you get hacked over here, at least you're not hacked over here and here and here and here, like your passwords for your different accounts. Like if you got one to kind of rule them all, then it's like, well, that makes it a little harder to make sure that you're secure.
Hey, do you like what you saw? I don't know how because it's on YouTube and we have to cut all the good parts out. So you should tune in live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on Rumble. We can still speak freely and even use words like and get and whoa. You've been here this whole time?
Yeah. Snuck in.